We are live. Hello, everybody. I'm not sure how many we got watching here quite yet. I'll bring it up on my. Oh, yeah. Everything's making lots of noise now. We got a couple watching already. So, as the title said, I have a very cool guest for this evening. It is Bob from Caylor's Aquatics. And we're going to just have a real nice, candid chat about fish tanks, about different kinds of fish tanks, different kinds of fish. What I've actually been trying to achieve here lately is have a weekly live chat with different guests from all walks of the hobby. And just that way we can get more perspective on how other people do things in this hobby as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Bob Caylor.
Hey, Jesse. Hey, everybody.
Hello
Great to
and
be
welcome,
here.
Bob.
Thank you.
So, a lot of my guests, even when they watch the replay and whatnot, they may not know who you are. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Bob?
All right. Well, I started keeping fish when I was about 7, and that's a long, long time ago. I got a 5-gallon aquarium for Christmas, and got a couple of pink convict fish because they were cute. They had a little house at Woolworth's department store. You didn't have local fish stores and that kind of thing. No online, of course, back then. But I got the pink convicts, and the next day they were still alive, amazingly, but they had a cloud of fry. So my mother made me take them back. That's what they had in the house. So I started out with guppies and stuck with live bears. I've never not had a tank all the way through grammar school, high school, college. I've lived in three different states. So I've always had fish aquariums, and I'm retired now for about 5 years. So um, I've always wanted to have a fish store, and I don't. But I kind of live in a fish store. My house is a fish house. So
Very
that's what.
good. How many tanks are you up to now?
I have 34 freshwater, and I have 6 saltwater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
tanks.
How many? Well, I guess I don't even know if you'd know this off the top of your head. I probably couldn't answer this question even, but you have everything from live bears to saltwater, obviously. You have some larger South American cichlids as well, don't you?
I do, yeah. And those are probably my favorite fish. I love South American cichlids because they're colorful, they're semi-aggressive, but they're usually not that aggressive, and they get large, and they spawn, so they're really fun to follow and take care of. I just set up 3 tanks ago a 180, which is my largest tank. For those guys, moved them out of a 55, so they're living the life now.
Very good, very good. So, I brought you on mainly to talk about pufferfish because, well, if anybody doesn't know, and hello, live chat, I haven't really talked to you guys too much, and I probably won't throughout this because I'd rather just have a conversation with Bob, and you guys can pick up and have your own conversation in the live chat. And when we get going here, if you have any questions, put them in the live chat, and we will try to get to them to answer them. But as I was saying, I don't know anybody who has more different types of puffer fish than you do. What do you have going on for different species?
Oh gosh, let's see a list. Let me go tank by tank. Of course, I have pea puffers. I have Congo puffers. I have a Fahaka puffer. I have green spotted leopard puffers. I have a fugu puffer. I have a dog face puffer. I think that's it.
Your dog face puffer is my favorite one by far. That's cool looking puffer.
That's he's a lined dog face, and his name is Linus. Another fellow, another fish tuber named him. I do name some of my fish that have lots of personality, and If you want to look at some fish later, we can. He's in the tank behind me, which is a saltwater tank, of course.
Yeah, I've seen a puffer going back and forth behind you. Yeah, going right now. So yes, I only have one puffer fish and I named it. I don't name very many fish at all either, but my puffer fish is named Paul the puffer fish. And yeah, I've kind of done everything that everybody said you shouldn't do with them, and he's doing really well. He's thriving, but he's now full marine. I moved him. I guess I like to say it's a $20 puffer fish that cost me $700 because I ended up setting up a full marine tank then with live rock, lights, everything, skimmers, everything. So this $20 puffer fish got me into marine because I realized you could convert them to full marine, and ended up costing me $700. But that's probably why he got a name. That's Paul the puffer fish.
What kind is he?
It's just a green spotted.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah. So who's this guy swimming behind your head right now, back and forth?
Well, that's probably the newest puffer I have. That, and it's a puffer that it's not that rare. They're seasonal for sure, and it's a fugu puffer, pronounced Foogoo, but spelled Fugu. And they're the puffers that, well, they're seasonal, as I said. They're brackish primarily, and are usually caught wild in brackish water. There have been rare breedings of them, but they're not bred any numbers in the hobby. So they're caught in brackish water. They don't do well in fresh water. They, like a lot of like the green spotteds, they can live in it for a while, but they don't do well. They convert. When I got this one, I was getting it at a store about an hour and a half drive away, and no one knew if it could go to full salt. And I couldn't really find that in researching it. Since then, I've found a fair amount of information about him. But I went ahead and got him thinking I could set up a brackish tank. I didn't have one. And on the way home, he chewed through the bag and basically had very little water. Was in the console of my new truck, and the console held all the water, but so he had no choice but to go in the marine tank, and he did well. He's done great. They're the puffers, by the way, that you hear the horror stories about, and about how poisonous they are, and they are a delicacy. Fugu roughly translates to river pig. Nice name. But they are a food source, and they, unless prepared appropriately, their organs, especially their liver, are very toxic. I forget the name of the poison, tetradon or something like that.
Is that the poison that comes from eating coral?
It didn't say, the research I've done didn't say where it's from. But that probably is so, because it's not going to manufacture that itself. So that probably is so. They do eat a lot of coral. They do like coral, and which is great for them to keep their beaks worn down. But they're primarily things like shrimp and jumbo krill and fish, that kind of thing. They will eat clams on the half shell and stuff, but he really likes foods that are easy to eat. Really cool fish.
Yeah, he's active. Like he's just constantly going back and forth through your tank.
That's the way he was at the store. And actually, one of the other fish tubers, Sean, had been to that store a few months before I bought him, and I had seen him several times. I might have been going there maybe once a month, and saw him. And that's what he did all the time at the store. He was in with emeralds and green spotted, other brackish water puffers, and he did that all the time, and he was probably the biggest puffer in there. So when I brought him home and had to put him in this tank, of course no quarantine or anything, he really freaked out, and he was attacking the dog-faced puffer. But I thought it was probably because he was just really scared and not aggressive, and so I just started feeding them and trying to distract them, and after a couple hours it settled down, and they're big buddies now. They have tug of wars with shrimp and things like that. So he was just afraid, I think.
So you're breaking a misconception that like everybody always, when I got a puffer, I was like, no, don't put them with anything. A puffer goes in a tank with puffers, or just itself, like not even other puffers. And I've found my puffer fish, even he gets along with his tank mates as well. So I don't. Maybe certain puffers have horrible personalities. I'm not sure.
Well, the spotteds are pretty passive, and like the Congos are known and marketed as community fish. So there are puffers that definitely pea puffers. You know, you're going to hear both things. I have pea puffers in with my swordtails, and they're all fine in there. They get along great. But you're going to hear different things. There definitely are puffers that have to be by themselves. There's a lot of variation in personality and species and that kind of thing. But I have green spotteds in here. I think I have 3 in here now. So
wow.
Actually 5 puffers and a 120 with the other fish.
Yeah, you have quite the lineup in that tank.
Yeah, I love this tank. It's my second saltwater, but like I said, I have 6, but I really love the saltwater. Had never kept them till about 1.5 years ago.
I was just going to say, I think I remember you actually pretty much getting your feet wet with salt water, and it looks like you just went full steam ahead. You have a lot of, I've been watching your videos, and I've seen all the different species you have in your tanks, and yeah, it's incredible. You've collected that many already.
I just kind of decided one day, you know, I've always wanted to do it, and I'm retired now, and I've been retired a couple of years, and started talking to my local fish store owners, and it just seems so easy, like using hang-on back filters, and a couple other stores do that. And I thought, why can't I just do that with the salt? But the big thing with most of the basic and the easy to keep saltwater fish and critters is just having your salinity correct, you know, and your pH correct. So it's not a big deal.
So if you've been controlling everything with salt, or do you use other additives?
The only thing I use in my, like this tank behind me, is just salt. Yeah. Of course I use Prime, you know, to get the chlorine and that kind of stuff out of my water. And I've had to use it. Sorry, I can't make that finger go away. There we go. I have used it before cycling this tank too, because I wanted to cycle it up to capacity. So that's why all the rock and the pre-sponge filters and the 3 hang-on backs and all that. So I've got it pretty much maxed out right now.
Okay. Yeah, oh, we're getting some feedback. I do everything with salt. I've never put any additives in my tank, and I use RO water to start with, so I don't prime it. And it seems not bad. I get a bit of algae buildup. It's mainly because we have a patio door right there where sun hits direct sunlight on the front of the tank sometimes.
Right, I have a door right there too, and 2 windows. So, and the afternoon sun hits there and bounces in here, and so I have an algae problem specifically in this tank. But I have fish in there that almost solely eat algae, so it works out okay. I just try to keep this side of it cleaned up and the ends, and let that back kind of do what it wants to. So, and those fish do go back there and eat the algae. So.
Yeah, algae is not always a problem.
No.
Even freshwater tanks, I try to keep some algae in fry tanks just so they have something to eat, and all the biofilm that grows on the algae and everything. It's like the very best first foods sometimes.
Sure. And that tank may be well, it's a tall 125, so it's 5 feet long and not 6, but it's only 5 or 6 feet closer than that 180 that we talked about earlier with all the South American cichlids in it. And I rarely get any algae at all in there. I mean, the difference in just being that close to the window is amazing. So
That's a beautiful tank.
I love that tank. Thank you. Yeah, I'm still working on it.
So you're quite a ways from me. You're near Nashville, correct?
I'm about an hour and a half from Nashville, right?
So to get this collection of fish, how far and wide have you had to search, or do you have quite a few local fish stores around you to pick from?
Most of them are local fish. One of our local fish stores closed recently, and they just started doing coral and like special orders for customers that, like myself. They're the ones that kind of mentored me with setting up my saltwater tanks and told me how to do things cheaply and easily and that kind of stuff. But there are several stores in the area. I often will go to Nashville or Knoxville. Knoxville's about an hour and a half as well, and there's a pretty good selection. So,
Okay, so you got to travel a bit too still.
oh yeah,
I wondered if it was just people in Ontario or everywhere, because we have to go an hour and a half pretty much to get what we want as well.
right,
Yeah,
yeah. Have the coolers, in the truck and all that to put bags in. So,
most definitely. I actually started leaving up here. You can get like cases of Budweiser beer if you buy a 2-4 of cans. They give you a cooler bag that comes with it.
oh yeah,
Uh, so I've drank a little bit of beer in my life. So I have a few of these bags, and I just leave them in the truck now. So when I do go, if I just do a surprise visit at a store, I got a cooler with me to bring fish home. That works out pretty good. Just leave a
that's
cooler in the
great.
truck.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
are you not running any protein skimmers or anything? Just hang on backs?
I am running protein skimmers. A couple of years ago, let's see if I can get in a better. There we go. A couple of years ago, I started. Um, well, there's no way to say it except just to say AquaClear has always been the hang-on back filters that I've used, and I even had one that lasted 15 years. But they were sold a few years ago, and the company that bought them is reputable, but for some reason the filters don't have the same quality of parts or materials in it. And people like myself that are oldsters that have had those filters for years notice the difference up front right away. And we're getting spare parts and all that. So I started looking around and different things that came out, like the bio wheel ones, and Titles was one that my local fish store had, and they started running them on several of theirs to try them out. And initially, I didn't like the design, and it's a change. I really was an Aqua Clear fan, but they have a built-in skimmer on every filter, no matter the size. So I went ahead and got a couple of them to replace Aqua Clears that weren't functional anymore, and had been running those for over a year, and added more as I lost my Aqua Clears. I still have one Aqua Clear going that's over 15 years old, but I'd bought several new ones that don't work anymore. So even with new parts, so that really says something for the condition of the product now. But yeah, there are built-in skimmers on all the Tidal hang-on back filters. So
Can you believe the amount of crap that you take out with a protein skimmer?
oh
I
yeah,
it's incredible and like gross smelling. It's just I can't believe that's actually in the water.
right, right, and it really is so important, especially with well, just like the fugu. I told you I was kind of refreshing on a couple of the ones that I haven't kept before and haven't read about since I got it. But they really have to have pristine water. No nitrites or no ammonia, nitrites and ammonia. So um, he's done great in there. I've had no problems with me, and I do a weekly water change about 40-50%. And he's begging for food because he sees me. You see, he hadn't stopped at all. So,
Oh, no, he hasn't. Wow, that's a big water change. I should maybe be doing a bigger water change. You're making me think. I probably only do like 25-30% a week on my 65 gallon, but it's not very heavily stocked, but maybe I should be doing a bit more.
well, there's the stock, and then there's how much are you feeding? I'm legend, not famous, but legend for overfeeding and feeding too much. And a lot of my fish are pudgy. I mean, I just like my fish to be really healthy, and not that they're not if they're thin, but I really enjoy feeding my fish and giving them really good stuff to eat. So,
Okay. Yeah. Well, Paul gets a lot of snails. He's pretty pudgy too. He's looks more like a bowling ball than a puffer most of the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
But seems healthy. But yeah, I should maybe be bumping it up a bit.
I just watch my parameters, just as you know, just like with freshwater, it's the same game,
Yeah. Yeah. It's shrimp. That's where I mainly keep my parameters. I the rest of my tanks I can almost tell by looking at them, but the shrimp tanks I gotta test all the time because one little thing can throw it right off. But speaking of shrimp, you were mentioning some things that you like to feed your puffers, and you said shrimp. Do you feed freshwater snails? Like, do you harvest snails out of your other tanks?
And I do have 3 or 4 tanks that I grow ram's horn snails in, and have lots of them. And that's because the Fahaka puffer named Dharma, she has a name, and we don't know if it's she or he, but she pretty much will only eat omega-1 algae wafers. It's
Oh
really
wow.
weird. She won't even eat she won't eat clams on the half shell. I've done lots of vids about her. She
Hmm.
will sometimes take a ghost shrimp, a live ghost shrimp, but she won't eat krill. She won't eat shrimp. Nothing freeze dried. She's did take jumbo bloodworms for a while, but she decided. So she would eat wafers all the time if I didn't give her snails. She will eat those.
Okay, yeah. My pufferfish won't even eat a pellet or a wafer or
I know.
anything. It
I don't
won't.
know.
Yeah, won't even look at it. I guess all I feed him is snails. He gets a wide variety of snails. I got just about every kind of snail there is. Shrimp and half clams and mussels is what
I
I've.
have the I have the half clams and the fish. I got a good deal on a bunch of the small bags, and so I've got enough to last a long time. But the fish in the tank behind me, especially that angel, they really love those clams on the half shell. Of course, the puffers are like they eat like puffers in this tank, but she won't touch them. She'll let the big hoplo catfish get them. So
So what size tank is the Dharma in?
she's in a 55 acrylic, which is big enough now, but she started out in a 20, then went to a 29. I've only had her a little over a year, maybe 15 months, 16 months. She was the size of my thumb. They're tiny when I got her, a couple months old. So she's about 9 to 10 inches now,
Oh
but
wow.
she'll need to go up probably by the end of this year. So
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen like what are they like 14 inches, 18 inches they get to?
they're yellow footballs. They're exactly the size. Yeah.
Yeah, you almost need to get like a square tank, like just a real big
Right.
square tank for them.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive looking and look like they have an awful lot of personality as they do get bigger. It's their eyes.
She has a lot of interest in my dogs. I've got several small dogs, and one of them in particular sleeps on my pillow all the time on my bed, and her tank's right beside my bed, and she watches him all day long if he plays there. So yeah, they're very personable, interested in what's going on outside the tank.
Yeah, they are. Do you have any turtles?
I don't have any turtles. I know a lot of people that do, but I don't keep any turtles. Other pets I've got a blue tongue skink, um, and I really like him. I researched that for a long time, and then I found out that another friend, Susie Q Aquatics, she has one, and I just happened to stumble on this one when I was still in Nashville. Researching them, and it's an Indonesian rather than an Australian one. So, of course, I ended up getting him, and he's named, and he's growing like a weed. He's quite the character.
Oh wow! And you got some axolotls.
I've got 2 axolotls. I got those from a local fish store when they were small, and they're pretty big now. They're about 7, 8 inches, and it just worked out that it's a male and a female. You can't sex them until they're sexually mature. So I've confirmed with several people that do keep them and watch the videos of them that I do have a pair. So I expect a mating from them. I've just upgraded their quarters too. So.
Oh, very good. I was surprised you don't have a turtle because I knew you had just about every other pet. And I was going to say a turtle and a pufferfish, they have some very similar personalities because when I'm upstairs, my turtle tank and my pufferfish tank are like an L to each other. And they're both up at the glass splashing away and acting all crazy about the same food. Essentially, I feed them. So yeah, I was surprised you don't have a turtle.
Yeah, it's just been probably a space thing. I don't know that I would like to have some small turtles, a species that stays really small, a couple of them, but I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I stuck with the map turtles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they don't get big like that. Like they have
Right.
6 inches.
Yeah.
That's about it. And they love to swim. They love to swim. They love lots of water. So I have mine, which is named Petey, and Petey's a girl, and she's got a whole bunch of guppies in the tank with her. I don't think she could catch one if she tried, but yeah, we call it Petey and Friends, and they all get along. As long as you got a spot where they can get up under a heat lamp, they're happy swimming all day.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose that kind of turtle. So I think
Right.
I'm actually going to look for a male and build a larger enclosure for them and see if I can't breed them because you're not allowed to import them into Canada anymore.
Right.
So they're going to be hard to get.
You said you built her enclosure?
No, I haven't yet. I'm going to.
She's in a
Petey's still in a 35-gallon tank.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm going to build something like a 75-gallon-ish thing with a land area where they can have fairly deep sand if they want to bury eggs or whatever. So I'm going to pick up something. I got time now. So I'll put my carpentry skills to work.
There you go. Yeah, I had one of those, or I still have it, one of those floating platforms for small turtles or frogs or whatever. And I got it for my rope fish, and they both ended up getting out of the tank, and they never had before. And finally, I lost one of them, the larger one, because they kept getting out no matter how tight I sealed it. So I took the platform back out. I guess it wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah, I use the floating platform for a ladder to get onto a big piece of styrofoam now because she was getting too fat for the platform. She was sinking it. So now she goes and sprawls right out on the big piece of styrofoam and she loves it.
It sounds like she's getting some good food too.
Yeah, she eats well. She gets lots of duckweed too. I got it right here. This is what I cleaned out of a couple of tanks today of duckweed, right? So I try to find my fish and animals that I can feed it to, so I don't let it all go to waste. But I'll have that again in a week. So it's a
Right.
map turtles. They actually really like eating duckweed. So not only the duckweed in there, all the snails that are attached to it and everything else. They love eating all that. And I've started making my own food for. I just got a thinger there. Started making my own food for pluckos and my shrimp, and the results I'm getting is a lot of growth out of the pluckos, a lot of growth out of the shrimp, a lot of buried shrimp out of it. So I'm going to keep doing it, and that includes a lot of duckweed, a lot of spinach, a lot of zucchini, and a lot of spirulina powder. And I bake it. Did a video on it a little while ago, but
Yeah, I was just going to say I saw your video.
yeah, it's working. So that's kind of neat, especially now when sometimes some foods might be a little harder to get right now. We're not really supposed to be leaving our homes and stuff. If I can make my food at home and it stays well too, after you bake it, you can leave it out for a week. It doesn't go bad. So yeah, they're really liking it. So that's what I do with all that duckweed. all the tanks you see behind me here, I cleaned them all out today of duckweed. But next week they'll be full again. The plants won't be getting any light. But just keep giving it to my fish that eat it.
I have a couple of tanks that I skim it out of, but most of the fish that I have will eat it. Dharma, the Fahaka, of course, she doesn't eat that, even though she loves algae wafers. But I skim her tank and I give it to the South American cichlids, and it's gone in 10 minutes. They love it. So
try making that food. It's essentially like an algae wafer when you're done with it, and it sinks like one too. She might just like that.
Hope so. I bought her like a 5-pound tub of those wafers because I was buying all the box stores out. You know, I'll only stock like 4, little cans of that, and she can eat a can in just 2 days. I mean,
oh wow! And algae wafers aren't cheap.
No, they're not.
They're about anything with spirulina in it. It's pretty much the most expensive foods out there.
You're right. Yeah.
I buy a lot of like 2.5 kilogram bags of pellets, mostly Northman. I don't know. It's good food. It's a Canadian company. I like to support local companies. I have a friend that works there, even a member of our aquarium club. So yeah, it's good food. So that's what I buy, and then most of the time grind it up. I haven't gone on a limb and bought the 2.5 kilo bag of Bug Pro yet, but it's expensive. So
yeah, it is.
So I still buy the smaller jars, but that's if I don't. Can you get it in Tennessee? Bug Pro by Northfin?
No. Have the Bug Bites by Fluval.
Yeah. Keep your eye open for any Northfin products. You should be able to get them down there. If you do see them, grab yourself a can of Bug Pro.
Okay.
Your fish will match it. They love it. It's that black soldier fly larvae.
Yeah, that's the same.
Essentially,
same ingredient. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my little plug for Northfin, and they don't pay me anything. I like their food. So yeah.
Well, you mentioned that, and we talked a little bit earlier about what some of the fish eat. I'm able to go around to make a concoction and go around. I try to mix that up or change it up, and I feed twice a day. So that's the big water changes on all the tanks once a week, and the fat fish. But I feed twice a day, and I usually can go around with one container and feed each tank the salt and the fresh water. So that really helps. Yeah. I put 3 or 4 kinds of frozen food, maybe some flakes, maybe some pellets, and everybody gets what they need. Every now and then I'll use some Daphnia or First Bites or something if I have some new little fry, but they very quickly start eating the bigger food. So.
Okay. Are you? Do you still have those Jack Dempsey fry that you're
yeah.
They must be.
Yeah, they're getting pretty big. And that tank's, I'm eventually going to run out of luck with that tank, and it probably needs another sponge filter at least on it now. So far, their parameters are good, but the mother still guards them and bites me if I try to, put my hand in. The local fish store has been expecting me to bring them, like half of them the last month, and I just haven't done it, but I need to take them. They're beautiful fish. So.
Yeah, they turned out nice, did they? You haven't done a video on them in a while.
No, I was in a live stream earlier today on a panel kind of thing, not a one-to-one thing like this, and just a very casual 6 people or so on the panel. And I didn't have the camera on me. I was just showing some of my fish as they asked things. And so somebody said Jack Dempsey, and so I walked over to the tank, and they were really surprised at how big they are and how many I still have. So,
oh, very good, very good, and that's great that you do breed them, because I spoke on my last live stream about something I think we're all going to have to do, and that is depend more on locally bred fish than a lot of imported fish. So that's great. That's great that you can offer locally bred fish. I know a few people around my area that do the same thing, and it's I think imports are going to be harder to get from overseas as they tighten up restrictions and whatnot, at least in Canada. Um, so some of our more common species, like even some guppies and barbs and tetras and whatnot, platies, most of them are imported from overseas really, really cheap. So if people don't breed them, we might not be able to get a lot of them anymore. So
There's definitely going to be a demand. I think it's going to be unexpected too, like most gentleman breeders or lady breeders, that just do it for the hobby or for fun. Um, but I can't keep probably 100. Somebody estimated 75 to 125 besides the parents, the pair. So I can't keep 100 Jack Dempseys.
yeah,
So,
no, that's I have about, I don't know, about 700 plecos right now.
oh my.
Yeah, I got a lot of plecos right now. It gets expensive on zucchini. I
Oh yeah.
So to feed my plecos in the room, it goes through 2 full zucchinis
Wow.
every feeding now. So we got quite a bit, but I am making an attempt right now. I have some uh, blue phantoms, hemiancestris, and I have a male and I have 2 females. I've been able to sex them, and they've gotten big enough for that, and they're starting to show a bit of behavior. So I'm actually trying to breed them right now. That's my big project I got on the go.
I hope you do. I've never had. I used to really be real heavy, and I still have all of my plecos. I just don't show them as much. And went through the corridor thing, and now they're gone to saltwater. But I still have all my plecos, and I have blue phantoms and green phantoms. But I've never had the blue spawn. The greens, yes, but
Oh, you've had the green spawn.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
very good.
yeah.
So did you have to adjust water parameters or anything for that?
I did, and temperatures and tank mates and the tank itself and substrate and all that. In
Oh,
fact, I had a little pair spawn in one of your caves.
oh, did you?
Not to plug your stuff, but yeah, I did have. Yeah, it was their first spawn.
Oh, wow.
Surprised me. Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
had
good.
it. I had it more in there for them to eat the birch wood, and to maybe one go inside, but he actually had her come in there and they spawned. So,
Oh, wow. Very good. Well,
yeah,
that's good because I have lots of those caves in that tank.
yeah, good, great.
Uh, hello, everybody in the chat. Sorry, I haven't been keeping up with the chat at all. But hello, Jason from Fish Tropic. Yes, my phantoms are wild caught. I think most of them are wild caught, aren't they, Bob?
I think they are. More and more people are starting to breed the greens. I don't know anybody. That's why I'm going to follow you. I do anyway, but see how you do with those blues. I don't know
Yeah,
anybody that's bred the blues. So,
they shouldn't be any harder to breed.
I
They're
know.
they're essentially the same fish.
Right. And they're just
One's
caught not that far apart. They're the same location, basically.
Yeah, the blues are a little bit more north in the river.
Right.
That's all it is. Now they do have some tank mates. They have 4 Geophagus tapajos, and they have 3 Fisher woodcats in the tank with them as well. They're a weird oddball fish. I don't know. I hardly ever see them anymore. They're pretty much nocturnal now.
Yeah.
They hide and they look dead, but they're not dead. You see them out swimming the next day, but they're getting quite large. And there's one L106 orange seam in the tank
Okay.
as well.
I
So
don't, I don't know my L numbers, so that's why I wait for you to say what they are. So.
yeah, they're a real cool fish too. I had 2, but unfortunately, one didn't make quarantine. Um, So yeah, I'm trying to lower my pH drastically. I lower the water in the tank. I put cooler water in when I fill it back up. I'm trying to do the rainy season thing. So my pH is down to 6. So I'm gonna keep throwing oak leaves in it and straight RO water. When I get it down to 5, I'm guessing I might get some action. So
Yeah.
I don't know how low you had to take yours, but I'm thinking That's
I
the number.
think it was 5.5 or thereabout. It was in the middle fives, and I did water changes twice a week, and then I went to every other day. But when I went to daily, smaller changes, that's when they spawn, and they still will. I
Wow.
don't need any more.
Yeah. Oh, keep saving them. They're not easy to get.
No, they're not. But you know, they don't want to give you at the fish store what they're worth.
So what are they worth at the fish store down there?
65, $75. Of course, a big one, you know, a sexually mature pairs are, you know, worth more. But yeah, 65, 70, 75. Depends on the store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get them here. Like say 2 inches, 2.5, 3 inches, 40, $50.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's retail. That's not what they give
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not what they give us. Um, yeah, Jason, some of us have them around. There's actually quite a few.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my next project because I don't know if any documented blue phantom breeding outside of Holland.
And I haven't heard about that, so I'll have to look that up. So
Yeah, Holland apparently they've had a couple. Don't know. Maybe it's their water.
it could be.
Very
well be.
Does anybody have any questions for Bob? Trying to keep up with the chat.
How many people are in the chat? I can't see it.
I think there's only about 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of subscribers. I don't get very big live. They end up, I don't know, maybe I have a bad time because I get a lot of replay watches.
Yeah, it could
be. So I'm here. There is a question here for you. And how old were your green phantoms when they started breeding?
How old were the green phantoms, Bob, when breeding them? They were well over a year old. I'm going to say they might have been even 16, 18 months old. And I'd always heard with them that it was size, but it definitely the age of them, because they looked to be mature when I got them. They were 4 or 5 inch fish. You know, they looked to be mature, but they didn't breed for a year. So,
wow. Yeah, I think you almost got to take the same steps as zebra plecos. I think L46s. From everything I've read, I've never bred them, so I'm not speaking from personal knowledge, but I've been researching them a lot because I want to get a breeding group of them, and they seem, they won't breed for a year after you've moved them. Essentially, they need that long to settle in, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing maybe. Sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, that's pretty much. I remember Tom. I think it's TM Aquatics. He had that same situation with them. But when they got started, you know, he's always trying to sell them on Get Gills and other platforms. So
yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. How do you sex blue phantoms? There's not a lot of giveaways on sex, but there is a couple. And the main one is the head shape. And the second one main is the spurs on the pectoral fins. The males will get little spurs on the pectoral fins, and the male generally gets larger. So that's how I've been able to sex mine. The male does have the spurs. His head's a bit different shape. He's got a solid inch on the other two, and they don't have any spurs, and they have a bit different shape to them. So that's how I've done it.
The same, yeah. It's the same with the greens, of course. Like you said, they're essentially the same fish. So.
And in fact, if you feed them different things, like I feed mine a lot of zucchini. After I fed my blues a lot of zucchini, they almost look like greens.
Wow.
depending on how much green matter you're feeding them, I guess.
Mine, I know they were wild caught. I was told when I got them they were wild caught, the ones that spawned finally. Uh, but I had several people contacting me. Had just barely been on YouTube a couple months, and I put just a whimsical video of one of the greens trying to rob my rainbow cichlids. They had a spawn, and it was trying to get the eggs. So it was really cool, but the color on that fish was just amazing. I mean, they still are. You can't mistake that wild green, So
Yeah, no, they're really cool looking fish, and I like the white spots on them on the blues. Anyways, they get like an iridescent blue
yes,
fading out of them, and they look pretty cool.
yeah.
Uh, Chattanooga Ed has a question for you, Bob. Bob, you have so many fish. What is next fish on your list and why?
Oh, Ed. Ed knew that would be a hard question for me. Ed and I raided many, many fish stores together. Um, Next fish, I really don't have a fish that I'm thinking about right now or considering getting. I'm probably going to get another reptile before I get another fish tank. Um, so that's the truth, Ed.
What kind of reptile are you thinking about?
I'd like to get another blue tongue skink because they're just really cool. It's hard to make sure they're going to get along, and I have a 55-gallon that leaked, and that made a perfect home for the one that I have. Um, but I really feel like I have a lot of enrichment stuff for him, and people laugh like for a lizard. Well, yeah, like for the fish, they have plants and rocks and so forth. So I'd really like to have him. I did a video of him the other day in a little dog bath thing, and pardon the language, but he farted in the water, and I thought that was so cute that he bubbled water. It was like bathing one of my dogs or something. But yeah, I'll probably get another blue tongue skink because they're gorgeous lizards, and they readily breed, and they are quite valuable.
Okay. Now they're mainly a vegetable eating lizard, are they not?
They are, and again, like Dharma being an oddity or a mutant as far as diet, he always has preferred a higher protein diet. He does like carrots. He will eat carrots, but he's not a green leafy or a zucchini or anything like that. I end up throwing that away. I do give him a salad every couple of days, and he picks the carrots out of it. But man, some chunky cat food or dog food now that he's a little older. He's probably a year old now. Um, he loves that, and that's what you're supposed to feed him because those foods are enriched with minerals and vitamins. And he'll even take chunks of food out of my fingers now, and that doesn't bite me. So
Well, that's good. It's like a little dinosaur going at you.
yeah, yeah, he's pretty cool. The first day he did it, I thought he would just bite me, but he took the food right out, and I happened to be doing a video of him, and I just was so surprised. But yeah, another blue tongue skink.
Okay.
You don't
There's
have
your.
to do water changes either for them.
No, they are easy. They're way easier than fish.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you can only keep one aquarium, Bob, what would you put in it?
Oh, Thomas, it would be my South Americans right there. Those are my babies. They always will be. I'd give up my saltwater before I gave those guys up. So that would be it.
There you have it. They're coming at you here, Bob. What's
Good.
your favorite puffer fish?
Uh, hey, Ken. Um, Kenny, because of her personality and that I've had her for over a year and she's getting big, it would be Dharma, the Fahaka, and she really needs her own YouTube channel. I finally had to stop making so many videos of her because people expected a daily, which is a nice problem to have. But I've been doing more of her lately. So definitely Dharma, the Fahaka.
There you have it. Oh, here's one for both of us. I'll let you answer first, Bob. Well, you did answer it at the start of the stream. I guess basically someone's asking how old you are because it says, how long you've been fish keeping?
Oh, me, I will be 65 in November, and I was 7 when I got that first tank, and I've always had at least one tank. This is the most tanks I've ever had, but so what is the math on that? 58 or something like that?
Yeah.
Long time.
A lot of years.
Yeah.
I'm at about 30 years. So about half of what Bob's at. Oops. Okay. I think so. Group breeding blue phantoms. I don't know because I've never been successful at it. And I would think it would be the same as breeding your green phantoms. I think that's the only way you would do it is put a whole bunch together in a tank, hope for males and females, and let them pick their own partners. I don't know how else. That's what people do with zebras. That's with a lot of these harder to breed plecos. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, that's what I did with, I've done with both of mine. It and the other things work with the green, but not the blue. Not the blue. So, and Tom, TM Aquatics, that has so many of the zebras, he group breeds them too. He does pull the others, though, when they pair. He does do that, I believe.
Okay. I found for conditioning mine pretty much zucchini and shrimp is what I feed them. They go crazy for it, and they've had really good growth. Some Northman bug pro in there too, pellets, but it's mostly zucchini and vegetables.
I have done primarily zucchini, but that's kind of how I had the algae wafers around when Dharma came in the picture. And she tried her first one, and she's never turned one down since. So.
That's hilarious. I wouldn't think
It
there'd be
is.
a puffer that would refuse fresh fish or anything like that.
She won't.
Hmm.
It's weird.
Well, do we have any more questions for Bob? It's been a great talk, Bob. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I appreciated being here.
Did you have any questions about my fish room or anything I kept
I'm sorry.
or anything that I keep?
Oh, no, I didn't realize that you had the turtles, so I want to go back and look at the videos on that. I do know that, and I think I asked you about this, but I can't remember where it went. That you had some. Oh, what were they? You had something that you had some promise of color. I think it was plecos, but then you couldn't keep the color going in them or something genetically. What was that? I can't remember.
Yeah, so it's I've been line breeding some. Well, they're essentially long fin ancestress, and I got some blue coloration in them, and they still have it. It's very faint, but it's still there. I don't know. They're 3 inches now. They're starting to come, so they should breed very soon, and we'll see what the fry come out like.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, hopefully they got a lot more blue in them.
You do a lot of genetics with shrimp, so that's why before I misspoke, I wanted to make sure I was asking about the right critter.
Yeah, no, I like to play a little bit of God here, I guess, with them and see what I can come up with. And yeah, that's part of the hobby. It's getting a bad feedback. I don't know if these headphones, but I guess that's the part of it. I love science, and I love seeing what you can do with genetics, and it's very easy to do this science with fish, and you get your results back very quickly. I guess if you're comparing to doing something like this with dogs, say if you're trying to do a purebred dog and convert the genetics to have it have it cosmetically a different way or try to get rid of a bad strain, a bad health problem in it or something. It takes years and years and years and years and years. Whereas fish, you can do it relatively quickly because they reproduce relatively quickly, and you can keep lots of them to draw from to get the genetics that you're looking for.
Yeah, I have some of the Santa Maria endlers from Dan's Fish, and I've always called the swallowtails out, and that because they really do have some big swallowtails, but that's not the standard. And he spent about 2 years getting those fish perfect, and they're very expensive. But I've got tons of them. I mean, a couple hundred, if not more. But I cull those, and he mentioned a few weeks ago that he wanted to put some swallowtail genetics in, and so I'm going to be sending him some of his fish back, or I guess the great grandchildren of the original couple of pairs I got, so that he can work those in. So you just never know, you know.
No, you don't. And no matter how much you try to perfect a line of guppies or plecos, whatever you're working with, that there's always oddballs thrown in there. It's I guess it's no different than us, other than I think we have a little more of a genetic structure, but no different than us. You're not the same as your brothers or sisters or your parents or anything. Fish are individuals too sometimes, but their genetics are quite a bit closer than ours, which makes it easier to bring out prominent genetics that you're looking for.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah, I like doing it. I seen another Ed's picking on you again. Do you prep your summer tubs with crushed coral?
I haven't done that, Ed. This will just be my third year, but if you'll check the live stream today that I was in and walking around, I walked outside. People were talking about tubs and picked up the massive leaves and cones and sticks and all that stuff that are in the bottom of that black water. It's not just tannin, it's black water. And that's what I'll start with. So I won't need any crushed coral in there. It'll just be bare bottom with all those leaves. So no, I don't.
Okay. Now that leads me to a question. Why do you put the crushed coral in? Is it to try to get a higher pH value in the water?
It's well, a lot of fish like harder water. They like a lower pH. But you know, it dissolves. The coral's going to dissolve, and a lot of people will, yes, for those exact reasons. But a lot of people will put it in a stocking or like a media bag, a little zip-up bag or tie bag. I just pour it in. I don't see the point in having a bag. So that's what he's talking about. He's going to be getting some of those same endlers from me, and I put the coral in their tanks because they prefer it.
Now, being quite a bit more south than me, are you starting tubs now?
Yes, Ed was asking me because he's fairly new to this area from Ohio. So he was asking me a couple days ago, when are we going to start? And as soon as we're in a current cold spell, it's like 40 at night and 60 during the day. And that's cold for us right now. But as soon as that passes in the next 3 or 4 days, I'll be going ahead and stocking my tubs. So
lucky.
Yeah, we have a long season, an easy 4 months. So
yeah, it snowed yesterday.
Yeah.
We're June.
It's snowing in Wyoming somewhere right now. Somebody was saying, I just can't believe that. So.
Yeah, last year when I tried tubbing, I had to wait till June, and I still kept the heater in the tub just because it still got really cool in the evenings and at night, right?
Oh, yeah. And I extended mine past September way up into October by adding a heater to the one tub I had 2 years ago, and it worked great. And I still have all the fry. I had hundreds of fry. I still have all those swordtails and platies, and but I don't.
You just did a video on them, did you?
Yeah, they're in a lot of videos because they're a lot of color. That's where the pea puffers live, in that tank also. But I don't want another 200 of those guys, so they're not going back in tubs. So.
No, I still have a whole pile of guppies from the tub last year. I did a little experiment last year. I started with 2 males and a female guppy, and I ended up with a whole line of guppies from it.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And those blue ancestrus were in there too. I put a bunch of them in the tub. So
Yeah, and I don't have anything to, put pulse in or overflow, and so I end up with another tank, and I really don't need another tank of just the same fish. And the stores, they don't want the fish that, everybody has. That may change though with the situation we're going into. So
hopefully it does.
yeah, it'd be nice to be able to take them in. I did a lot of my swordtails this year to the store that closed, and they sold all the ones I brought them, and I just wanted credit, but not really. I just wanted them to go somewhere that they could, get a home. So
Like right now, you couldn't do it if you wanted to, even
no.
if like the pet shop in town's closed,
Yeah.
mail order only. That everything's very locked down here right now. So everybody just needs to hang on to their fish until everything opens up again. And I see a lot of hobbyists getting a little overloaded with fish. We missed our spring auctions. I usually get rid of hundreds of fish during spring auctions.
Yeah.
And also to the stores that I sell to. So right now, I guess what I'm doing is just trying to maintain what I have, and I'm actually separating some fish so they don't spawn, and I'm trying to get others to spawn. Been playing with the Odessa barbs lately.
Oh,
Never,
really?
never once in my life have I ever cared to or worried about it or anything. I never cared about barbs or anything like that. I was always wanting to breed cichlids and stuff like that.
Who
But I
is
started.
it?
Sorry,
Is it Greg Sage? Who is it that's got the gorgeous Odessa barbs? I think it's Greg Sage.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, look him up. I think it's either no, Gary Lane does the rainbows, right?
Yeah,
Anyway, one of the two. I think it's Greg Sage, but look at his. They're just incredible, and he sells them fairly frequently. If you could get a couple pairs of those.
I
gosh.
I'm off to the races. I have some that are about 3/4 of an inch now offspring. I have some. I got about 20 or 30 little 1/4 inch offspring, and I just found them, and I videoed the whole process of how I did it last time too. The video's not out yet
Oh,
because I'm not done it yet. But I just noticed I have little babies from my last experiment. The babies are so tiny. I mean, like I stare for 10 minutes just to get a glimpse of a see-through little body going by, right? Like they're tiny.
yeah.
But looks like I got a mess of them in there. So
Check him out. I can't remember the name of his. He's actually a fish person, like a scientist, that plays with genetics. He does the longfin dragon plecos and all that. You'll enjoy his site and his videos. So.
yeah, I will check that out. So yeah, right now I have every life stage of Odessa barbs,
Awesome.
and yeah, and actually the male I have, he's a pretty good looking fish himself.
Yeah.
He's got the pretty bright red. So yeah, and I've bred one tiger barb out of them as well. One tiger barb. When I did it just in the did it right in the 55-gallon tank, I just put all the mops and everything right in where the tiger barbs are in there, rainbows are in there.
You did
barbs.
a video about that though, didn't you? Yeah,
I did. Yeah,
I remember that.
So this last time, I just took a whole bunch of guppy grass and Christmas moss. Like I literally filled a 10-gallon tank with it, and I grabbed the male and female Odessa barb. I used water from the the tank they came from, and I just pumped them in there for 24 hours. Well, actually, not even. I put them in the evening before, and I took them out the next morning, and I took them out, put them back in their 55, and just left it. And now I got all these little, teeny tiny babies. That's all it takes to breed those guys. Just
they're really in demand too, Odessas. I've noticed the last couple of times I went to like Nashville or Knoxville, that pretty Odessa barbs, the price was like twice what I thought it had been in the past. So they're very popular. So
yeah, they seem to be. They're really fun to do this with because I get to experiment. Like I said earlier, I like science of it all, and I get to see and it's I guess the anticipation of seeing if it actually worked. And you got to give yourself that. It took 15 days till I seen a baby.
Yeah.
After I did it, I was getting ready to try again, and I went, oh, there's one little one right there.
Wow.
So yeah, it takes a bit more patience than guppies and stuff. Like you could tell your guppies are getting fat and they're gonna spit them out, and then all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of baby guppies. This is kind of like you gotta search them out, see if you got anything.
Well, they're egg scatterers, aren't they? The Odessas. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my experiment is a lot of people use mops, use actual mops for them to do it. I thought, why don't I go natural? I got lots of moss. I got lots of this stuff that these eggs can hide in, and then I put some Bacter AE. It's a shrimp additive actually, and it's to help create biofilm. So after I did that, I put some Bacter. I'm just trying a shrimp method with fish, right? Because I don't know, the fish people might not have thought of it. So I do that, and I guess my hope is that it grows a little bit more biofilm on all the plant material, and it gives the baby something to eat when I can't really offer them food small enough.
Sure.
Yeah. It seems to be working. So
Right.
yeah, little things I'm trying with different fish I never thought I'd try and breed before.
Awesome.
So I guess next attempt is I want those red rainbows to breed. I have a beautiful colony of red rainbows. I have yet to get a baby from them. So I'm actually going to pull all the barbs out of there and just leave the rainbows in there and then put mops in, and hopefully I get something. I think the barbs are eating the bigger rainbow eggs before I get them.
Are those the millennials? Is that what they are? The red rainbows?
They're just called New Guinea red rainbows.
Oh, New Guineas. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty big now. Like the big males are pushing 5 inches. Like I've had them for over 2 years. So I've I don't know, guess just let them grow out. Never really worried about breeding them. I just enjoy watching them. They're very active fish, always back and forth across the tank constantly.
I think rainbows probably pushed me towards salt also, because I'd never kept rainbows, and I just saw a couple of rainbows one day at the store, and I'm like, I don't know why I don't like these fish. They're really cool, and I brought an emerald and a yellow rainbow home, and I was back the next day buying more and ordering more, and I have 3 tanks of rainbows now. I'm sitting here looking at a 33 full of rainbows that I've just stocked, juveniles, 4 or 5 kinds in there. And I think really getting into them got me real interested in saltwater and the colors and variety.
Yeah, saltwater is just a whole other science experiment. It's the creatures that live amongst the live rock and everything. It's just, I don't know. We have our saltwater tank right in our dining room, so we can. That's our TV when we're eating.
Yeah.
Is watching the saltwater tank. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, sir, I don't see any more questions, and we've done our proverbial hour.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. We've been chatting away, and I think we've had a really good chat. It's hopefully some people got something from it. We covered lots of stuff, and this is basically what we do here is just talk, and hopefully somebody gets some value out of it. I know I've gotten value out of it, so hopefully other people did too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we swapped the information we did, and it wasn't a one-sided thing, because I really learned some things, and some things I'm going to be watching for too on your channel. So
yes, I've learned some things too. I've learned that I guess the main thing I've taken from this is I don't think I'm feeding my pufferfish a wide enough variety diet. So I'm going to try some of your foods you're feeding as well next time I can get out and get them. Maybe Paul will have a more balanced diet.
do you ever feed the mysis shrimp?
I tried it, and he wasn't real big. It was too small for him, I think.
Yeah. There's a larger size too. So
Okay, so maybe that's what I'm gonna have to do is get the larger size shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, mussels he goes nuts for. He loves mussels and clams. Snails, fresh meats, mainly freshwater snails. So I think they're very good for breaking his beak down. So,
yeah, oh, for sure.
You should have at least nice pearly white teeth.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, as you know, if it doesn't break down, you got to trim it. So
Now, have you had to do that with any puffer fish?
I had to do it with my Congos. I had 8 of those a couple years ago, and there really just wasn't hardly anything to feed them. And then I think it was Dan at Dan's Fish started putting some shells and things in Repashy, just mixing them in and kind of tricking them, those that he had. So I tried that, but I still had to trim 2 or 3 of them. And it's not something I would ever want to have to do again. It scares you to death, even as me being a nurse, you know, and seeing people under anesthesia and stuff, because you don't know, are they going to wake up or not? Did I do too much? So it's scary. You don't want to do it if you can get around it.
They could puff up on you too, right? If you
Right. They sure can. And I've had that happen with a couple of puffers, and a lot of people don't know that puffers do puff up. Normally, it's like a stretch or a big sigh. You don't get to see it very often because they have to be really relaxed. But I actually have an old self-promotion, an old video, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago when I first set up the tank behind me, and one of the big puffers puffed up and then went back down just for no reason other than to do it. So it was really cool.
Yeah, it's just if they puff out of water, is that when it's dangerous for them?
The air, they say, so you don't ever take them out of the water is the recommendation. You scoop them out in a water pitcher or something big, a bowl. So
yeah, that's what I've always done with Paul. It's always a try because he'll jump too. So he actually jumped out of the bowl that I was trying to put him back in the tank, and I caught him with the lid and directed him to the tank, and he never. I thought he was going to puff up. But yeah, that's what I heard. If they get the oxygen instead of water when they puff up, it can be.
It's hard to get it back out. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Bob, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank everybody for joining our live stream. See, actually, we have 15 watching now, Bob. But yeah, like I said, I don't get too into the actual chat of the live stream. I just prefer to have a nice conversation. Hopefully people are chatting about the conversation. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Bob, have a great night. It's been a pleasure. Everybody else, thanks, and have a great night as well. Bye, all.